Okay, this is Eckert for Billiard Network, and I hope you like our tutorials. And today's tutorial is about draw shots. So you're gonna start a little bit like the last one, pretty much the same setup. And if you have this test book also, then you can find this drill also here on this page below. It's about not only how to create draw shots, so we will have, like last time also, we go a little bit backwards. We start with an intermediate drill and we go a little backwards and see what's the topic for beginners, how to create a draw shot, and later on also we have topics for the well experienced players, how to deal with a good draw shot, and not especially to get the longest or furthest draw shot of all time, but about the main topic is to get the feeling, to find the feeling, to get the draw shot like not only backwards, but for example, only a half diamond back, one diamond back, two diamonds backwards, three diamonds. What's the difference of the feeling, right? How does a draw shot number 4 feels compared to a draw shot number 5? And how to create this feeling, which is a big weapon, of course, in your game. So let's have a closer look on the intermediate drill I like to introduce. Okay, so here let's have a look at this drill again. It is the same setup like the tutorial we had over follow shots, and of course you can change the drill a little bit for your personal level of play, taking more numbers, more balls or less, or giving yourself different tolerances. For me personally, it's like a reference drill for draw shots, because it's not only about potting and try to draw the cue ball as much as you want, or until the rail or longer. It's about getting the feeling of the different lengths of draw shots. So the first one is almost, you got ball in hand here, remember that. First ball, even a stop shot would be sufficient. And if it's just makes a little turn backwards, then it's like perfect, because for the first shot you got the first half diamond tolerance for when you shoot the 1, and for the ball number 2, it's just the next half diamond when you shoot it. So when it's wrong, I guess I'm pretty much on the border, no? Then you just replace it. If you are in the practice mood, then you play it until it's perfect, until you're satisfied with it. And if you are in the documentary mood, when you do the drill just one time a week, when it counts for documentation, then of course you have to do, you didn't score for this ball. But this time I scored. It's anywhere between this and this half diamond here. So that's still in. And then before we go to ball number 3, 4 and 5, which is the next full diamond for the 3 ball, and the next full diamond for the 4 ball, and the next full diamond without touching the rail for the 5 ball, before we go to them, of course, or let's say after we have a look at those 3, 4 and 5 ball, after that we're gonna go a step backwards and have a look at the beginner's topics, of course, because when a beginner cannot score here, right? We have to give also some drill ideas and some advices what have beginners to deal with in order to create a draw shot. Because here the topic is, for better players of course, how far can we draw the ball? What's the difference between a draw shot number 4 to a draw shot number 5? What's the difference in the feeling? Okay, so before we make this step backwards to the beginner's level, we have a look first at this 3, 4 and 5 ball. Okay, so now we shoot the 3, 4 and 5 ball. So the 3 ball has, after the 1 ball, first half, second, and then 3 ball is between this and that diamond. So you have ball in hand, aim, and yeah, just try to get 3 ball back anywhere between this and that diamond. And how to do it actually. Of course, that's the main thing of a tutorial, actually. So before we go to the beginner's explanation, here it would be for the intermediate player, of course, before you go down, you try to visualize what you're trying to do. So I try to visualize now the potting of the 4 ball and then the next diamond. So I have to get how the cue ball comes back and stops anywhere between those 2 diamonds. Maybe especially a spot on the table. If you see experienced players, because they sometimes put their hand there or there, wherever they want to get their position, because that's easier for them than to create the picture. And sometimes they get also worries not to draw it behind the ball, which is maybe here, not to draw it behind there in order to miss a position here or so. Just to make sure, sometimes they then point not here, they say, okay, here I want to get it, right, or there. However, because your mind is your body coordination, your whole body coordination tries to make those pictures you have in your mind, that the whole body coordination tries to make these pictures become true. So that's very powerful. That's why you have to, before you go down, make sure you got your picture. And here you see, this is already draw shot number 6, but as long as you are in the training phase, you just replace it with another ball and try until you get this position. So for the next attempt, you just try to keep, okay, I got this stroke in mind I just had, and now it was too powerful, right? You see how soft I stroke and still how far I get back with the cue ball. This is when you hit very low on the cue ball, right? And so this time, I still make up the picture, but I also try to imagine the feeling. What kind of shot feeling do I need to make it a little bit shorter, anywhere between those 2 diamonds? And here we are, right? Anywhere between this and that diamond. Okay, so now for the 5 ball, it's let's have a look at this 4 ball I played before. When you saw the mistake on the 4 ball, and then on the second try I get the 4 ball right. The adjustment I did was just by shooting not that low on the cue ball. So what kind of adjustments can you make to make it better than before? For example, on the 4 ball, I was, instead of hitting here, I was probably more hitting like this. So it's a little difference, of course, right? And you can also keep the spot where you always play on the cue ball. So and make an adjustment by the fastness of your stroke. So if you go slow into the ball or fast into the ball, right? And as long as you have the ball in hand, of course, you can adjust it also, right? With the distance of the cue ball. So here on this reference drill, I made it ball in hand, which is actually, not always helpful because it confuses you also, because it's one more adjustment possibility. But for better players, of course, I can recommend make it 2 diamonds distance for this drill, or later on even 3 diamonds distance for this drill. But anyhow, let's stay here with this ball in hand situation, and number 5 is supposed to come back in the last diamond field without touching the rail. So try to build up the pitch, try to build up, feel the stroke in advance, and then go 10 down, take your slowly. Make your stroke. And then, when you go to the 6th ball, it would be supposed to come into the same field after hitting the rail, which is for most players a very good reference drill, because a lot of players practiced, lined up some balls and practiced until they get the cue ball back to the rail in the beginning, right? Then they always have this as a reference spot. Okay, sometimes harder than the rail, or let it come out as far as possible, or just shorter than the rail. So it's their first reference spot. But nowadays you have to be more precise, more differentiation into the feeling. So that's why I put up this drill with 8 different draw shots. So let's draw that 6th ball back to the rail and stay in the first diamond. Okay, and now before we go to 7 and 8, where we have 2 diamonds of tolerance, when we get faster and needing more speed, then we go now making a step backward and let's see how what other topics beginners have to deal with to get a nice draw shot on the table. Now, if it's about draw shots for beginners, right, I wouldn't set up the ball anywhere in the middle of the table, because it's so, even if they shoot in this or that direction, it's frustrating always when they don't pot the ball, right? So let's put that, limit the potting ability to this when you have it in front of the pocket, and the cue ball maybe from the center spot or a little bit closer. Not too close, because then you can't make really a follow through or bring the stroke until the, let's say, the anatomic end. I would recommend, if it's about follow through or not, it's always a topic also in discussions with trainers, this and that. And I wouldn't say this is the best or that is the best. Personally, maybe I give a little bit more favor to the follow through, but we didn't have a scientific research yet to find out really with thousands of numbers what's the real best. But from logic point of view is if you have it like this, like less than a diamond here, almost a half, and then you swing when you are in front of the cue ball, you're down there. When you go through, it should be at least like a half diamond, and you can extend it and follow a little bit more. But I guess we had it already in some beginners topic. So here, if it's about the follow shot, the draw shot, then of course we aim low at the cue ball. How low? It's that's one thing we can operate, how far we're going to draw. In the beginning, of course, we try to go as low as possible without miscuing. If you hit the cloth first or too low, then yeah, it will jump. And a lot of players, beginners also, are afraid that this is going to happen, because they think always, oh, when they are in a pool hall and let the cue ball jump, it looks always stupid. So they are very afraid about it. And when you're afraid about letting the cue ball jump, and then you have this picture in your mind, and when you have this picture in your mind, then it's going to happen, because all your body coordination try to make this picture become true. So you have to try to bring up in your mind a nice, clean picture how you pot the ball and the cue ball comes back nice, straight. So hit very low until you make adjustments, until okay, and then 1, 2, 3. And you see, I go through about until here, then I saw the cue ball is going to hit the cue, so I moved it a little bit to the side that the cue ball has the space to pass. I would never do or not recommend doing this, going through and pulling it back, because this always results in a very short stroke, and this is, in my opinion, a pretty bad habit. And if If you just follow through until, let's say, at least a half diamond, it can be more, but shouldn't be less. So I always have a look at, and you should control yourself also, have a look after your stroke, where's your cue? Is it here or is it just here and you didn't get any action? Or if you went through, but it's not, it's on this height, it's not there. You see, if it's here, then I really hit at the lowest part of the cue ball. If it's there, then I'm not really low enough on the cue ball. So even though the stroke is hard, it won't bring the cue ball that much back. So get some balls here always ready to give it always another try until you are fine with the result. This would be perfect to bring it back into the pocket, because this means you would have pocketed a ball if it's here and the cue ball maybe is here and you shoot it there, then you would have pocketed the ball because you are accurate enough, the cue ball comes back into the pocket. If it comes back maybe more like outside the diamond, like this, then you would have missed a longer shot. Anyways, so far for this. Okay, so let's do a few more examples of, let's see whatever happens. And I do, for example, mistake very low, but short, you see, short. Then, we get a little bit action, but not enough, right? And the first goal for beginner also, and that's reachable, hard in the beginning, but it's reachable, at least to get enough action to bring the cue ball back over here. Not necessarily here, this would be a next step because it requires a lot of accuracy, but just to get enough action, right, to maybe bring it back like this, it's enough action. It doesn't have the accuracy, right? Because if you hit here, then you know, okay, I got now a good draw shot, but if I shoot at a ball like this, I would have missed it, okay? So in order, but that's why we place it in front of the pocket. We don't have to care so much about missing or not. It's not so frustrating, but we can always see how accurate we were when we are shooting straight, and when it comes back like this in the pocket, then it's accurate enough that you know that you would have shoot also or pocket this ball across the table. Okay, so what else can you do wrong here? In the beginning I showed, okay, too short. How about this? You go all the way through, very hard, but get not enough action. So the mistake was, I hit too high on the cue ball, right? And then you have also examples like where they aim very low. I do it this way. They aim very low, and the cue ball jumps too much. Of course, they maybe after a while they go a little bit higher like this, but sometimes they do something like this. You see this? Going down, and when they shoot, it looks like they're gonna hit over there, but when they go through, they hit lower and go after that up again. So this is like doing that, and this of course leads always to hit lower than you actually aim. There's also the other fraction which do the opposite. They do something like this. You see this? Going up and down. It looks like they're gonna hit there, but when they go through, they hit higher, and then the cue gets low, which has, even if they are very powerful, they don't get much action on the cue ball. I can give you examples, of course, but I showed you these examples and that, so that's this one. This leads up to jumping balls, and this one leads up to not enough action. So what you try is watch your stroke, watch your swings already. If they are straight, not like this and not like that. So straight, so that you actually hit where you aim at, and then until you think okay, and after the okay it's 1, 2, 3. Or anything, any other rhythm just to give you consistency. Aim as long as you want until okay, and then 1, 2, stroke to give you consistency. Okay, so if we continue just with those a few more balls, there's one other thing you can do wrong, or which is the most important in order to get a nice stroke for a draw shot. It is how fast you go through. I mean, even if you follow through, even if you hit very low without miscuing, you still can do a mistake like this, right? It's just not hard enough. And so, of course, the advice is easy, shoot harder, but it's not easy to pull out always this hard or stroke. You have to think, where comes this hardness from? If most players think about shooting harder, they try to use muscles, right? They tense up muscles and try it harder. But that's the wrong thing, right? You have to do it softer. So where comes the hardness? Where comes the power from? The power comes from speed, right? So the speed, I just have to go faster through in order to get the power. And the problem from beginners is sometimes, I show it from this side, the problem from beginners sometimes is they hesitate a little, right? So they swing very slow, and suddenly they want to go through, right? And this is not, I wouldn't give it a good feel. So you have to adjust your swings. Swing faster, even if you do a pause in between, like this, however you like it, but just move it faster. Even if you make a pause and then okay, 1, 2, also your last swing will be faster if your final stroke will be faster if you swing a little faster. So if you do this so soft, slow, it's hard to pull out a fast stroke and get the power. But if you swing faster, right, like this, hit very low, without miscuing, and follow through. Okay, 1, 2, right, like this. This would be a draw shot number 10 probably. And if we are that far, if you as a beginner manage it after a while, it's not easy to get this in the beginning, to get the action, later on to get the accuracy, but once you reach that, then you can make a switch and a turn to the other balls we have a closer look on. We just left a 7 and 8 ball in the incoming drill, but before we go to them, I show you a different setup also for beginner's drill as well, and then we move forward to the draw shot number 7 and 8. Okay, take a look at this drill. I would call it also after maybe a beginner's drill. First task would be, if it's not so much about draw shot, just pocket them, of course. But the second task already would be, okay, try to make a draw shot and keep a distance from a diamond or longer so that you can still make enough follow through. And just get it back and pot it. How many out of 10 balls, can you pot and get the cue ball back to the rail? That's the question. If you can do that, then then the next topic would be, of course, so after potting, after draw shot to the rail, the next topic would be to get the accuracy. And whenever you set up the next shot straight, just take a look at your cue. If it's here, then it's supposed to be within those 2 diamonds, for example. Give yourself like a half diamond to the left and the right tolerance, and try to get the accuracy. How many out of 10 get you back straight enough? If you're outside here, okay, you got the topic of enough action, you get it back to the rail, but did you get also the accuracy? And only if you get the accuracy, like 10 times or 8 out of 10, then you can make the turn or the switch to the incoming drill we had in the beginning, right? So also if you're on a 3 ball, it changes the angle, the distance to the rail is also longer, and you see after you set it up. Where's your cue? It's over here, so let's try to keep it and just see, will it be accurate enough to go near the diamond. And then, yeah, you just continue one shot, one try on every of those 10 shots, and when you succeed with 8 or more, then you can make the switch to the next drill we had in the incoming part, okay? But there's also, I show you another drill. The most important drill will be the next scene for the beginner, because in order to get everything right, the lowness, the stroke, the follow through, the bridge and everything we had already, even from the first and second tutorial, right? We need a drill that brings us the number of repeatings. We need, in every kind of sport which requires a lot of accuracy, you need a lot of repeatings. You have to do this a lot of times. Just by trying 3, 4, 5 times won't be enough. In every sport where you need a high number of accuracy, you need to do enough repeatings of your sporting movement. And this means we need like a couple thousand of repeatings. And I show you an interesting drill which is the key actually to get a nice stroke. Not so much for better players. Sometimes they go also back to it if they want to change something in their basics, but mostly for the beginners it will help you to get a nice stroke. So we make a cut here, and in the next scene I show you the next important one. I call it like the race to 1,000 or the race to 3,000 or whatever number you put up. Okay, this drill I didn't give it a name actually, but I would call it race to, and then you put in the number you are going for. Sometimes I give homework with this drill, like race to 500, race to 1,000, race to 3,000, so like potting 3,000 balls. And this is not always the end goal. Sometimes I even pull out numbers up to 10,000. And but what you have to do actually here is, it's not a drill like the usual drills where you have the cue ball and you try to pot, and if you make a draw shot or not, or a follow shot, it doesn't matter. It's not about this. It's not about working with the cue ball, because when you work with the cue ball and you want to just pot the ball, and even if your task is the stroke and everything, right? Then when you work with the cue ball, your attention is looking at the result. So does the ball go in? So your attention is to the result. Does it really go in or not? And but in this drill, that's why we leave the cue ball out and make it very easy, very comfortable for you. It would be just to pot the ball one after another directly into the pocket. You would probably say, oh, that's easy, I can do that. Of course you can do that, and you're supposed to be able to do that. But here it's about, because it's easy to get that potting pocket, right? Here you can concentrate on the actual quality of your stroke, the quality of what you're actually doing. You can concentrate not so much on the result, you can concentrate on the quality. And later on, when you play pool on a master level, it's also not so much concentrating about the result, it's about concentrating on the quality and seeing the result as a logical result of the quality you put in before, right? So you cannot concentrate on winning a pool tournament. You can concentrate on the different single steps you have to do. In the present, you concentrate on the different steps, but not so much on the result. So, but let's go back to the small part, not the wide part with tournaments and this and that. Let's go to the stroke part. So here, you can really concentrate on what it's the bridge length. Is it like I recommend inside a diamond? It's not a law. If you have some reasons, you can use a longer bridge if you like to, but you should have a reason, otherwise it's somewhere inside a diamond. And then maybe you can also start always from the beginning, from top, with chalking, go down, take it, and then even without swings, you do 1, 2, stroke, and then you watch your cue. Where does it end? It's supposed to end at least a follow through of a half diamond, like in the first tutorial, like the first natural stop. You can extend this stop and follow through, right? So it's 1, 2. Was it straight, or do I end up like this or like that? And then you go up, chalk, and do the same thing again, slowly. 1, 2. You can do also go maybe a little more low on the ball. 1, 2. You can also, after you change the pocket, of course, you can also go high on the ball. 1, 2. And when you do this, you can also, I recommend also to use different speeds. For example, speed 1, which is barely equal to speed 1.5, like 1.5 table lengths. Or you can also in between use speed 2, speed 3, for example, and different speeds. But what's going to happen is, if you do this, not 15 balls, but if you do this like 500, 1000, 3000 balls, you can imagine if you do this for 3000 times, then also when you want to make a follow shot or a draw shot, you just do the same thing like before, right? You just go down, you can even aim a little longer this time, and when you think, okay, 1, 2, you do the same thing automatically, right? You just aim low, and you can't hide the cue ball doing his job by creating a nice draw shot. And the same, if you aim high, you just get a nice follow shot, just by doing this and concentrating on the quality rather than the result. So let's make your race up. Race to 100, race to 5,000, race to whatever you like to go for. But don't do it as fast as possible. Do it as clean as possible, as accurate as possible, not as fast as possible. Because if you make a mistake there, you're going to practice a mistake. So make sure you're going to make that right. Okay, so let's get back here now to the drill we had right in the beginning. We left the 7 and the 8 ball, and if you remember, we had the draw number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 was already here. The 6th ball was after the rail in that field, and the 7 ball is now. We widen up the field because the more power is involved, the larger I make the tolerance field. So I think it's logical at least. So I'm going to make from the 7, for the 7 ball, from this diamond to this diamond, anywhere between those two diamonds, after hitting the rail, you should get back the cue ball. And then, of course, if you made those 2,000, 3,000 shots in the beginning, even as a beginner, right, then you're just able to do what you've done before. Till, okay, 1, 2. Pretty softly, right? You get this kind of action to get it back right in the center of those two diamonds. And for the 8 ball, make sure it's not too close to the side pocket, at least the ball size away or more, doesn't matter. Then you still got ball in hand. Then you would have, after the 7, from this to this, you get the next tolerance field from this diamond to this diamond. So 2 diamonds and 2 diamonds on the left and the right of the side pocket. And then, yeah, this is the draw shot if you miss, like this for example, I would call it a corona accident because you don't play that much than you used to. Anyhow, when you are, keep it in mind, when you are in the documentary mode, when you do this drill only once a week, not more, for documentary, and then you make your documentary, how many out of 8 I scored, and what's the average, until you get your goal. The goal can be an average of 6 out of 8 in 2 tries, 2 times making the drill. Or the goal can be 2 times making it 8 perfect, 8 out of 8. Whatever your individual goal is, you have only the chance one time a week to achieve this. This gives you the non-repeatable effect. During the week, you can practice as much as you want, and when you are in the practice mode, of course, so you miss it, you just set it up again and do this until you get the result you like to get. Pretty soft, and it's pretty much anywhere between this and that diamond. And this is the kind of a draw you need normally maximum in a game, right? So, of course, there are power draw shots, for example, in artistic pool. This is like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 diamonds lengths. That's what you normally need in a game. But in artistic pool, you can pull out, or they ask for 15 diamonds drawing shots. I don't like to do or show this because you can really hurt your leather tip and everything, right? I try to show you a different kind of challenge for the better players, of course, also. So let's have a look at the next shot for the other players. So before we go to the extreme challenge for the better players, now we have to look also, we have to take a look at, at the draw shot, how does it change when I put on 10, 20 or 30 degrees, right? Like we had also in the previous tutorial about follow shots. So we know if you got it straight, right, it comes back straight, like we had before. So when we go on 10 degrees, remember, a little bit more from this 1 diamond distance, a little bit more than a ball size, then you get this approximate 10 degrees, and then it can't come back straight here, right? So where can you expect it? Will it hit right here, here, or down there? That's the question, and you have to try. And of course, rather than for the follow shot, where we had this, and that spot for 30 degrees, here it's a matter of quality. On the follow shot, you just let it roll, right? And here on the draw shot, it's a matter of, how low without miscuing. So this might be a good spot for getting it there. And of course, it's also a matter of how much do you cheat the pocket. If it's the middle of the pocket, of course, then you got exactly 10 degrees, or approximately, almost. And if you cheat the pocket here, it might only be 5 degrees left. And if you pocket it here, then it will be 15 degrees. And then you get differences. If you cheat the pocket well, maybe you can get the cue ball over here. And if you cheat it on the other side, then it can go there. And it's also a matter of, let me change this color, it's a matter of how you aim at the ball. I hit as low as possible to get it as close as possible to this line. But of course, if I make a draw shot and not so low on the cue ball, but still powerful, you see, it stays longer on the tangent line before it finally makes the turn. From the same angle, from the same 10 degrees, okay? So that's what I mean with the difference of quality also. So you have to try it out. And let's see, where does it go with 20 degrees? Where do you think it goes? If I have a class, sometimes I get announcements from here to there, so it's a little dark zone. So try to be accurate. Don't cheat too much on the pocket, and then you get it like this. I guess I can do better. Give me another try. Yeah, a little bit, but not much. Okay, so, and now 30 degrees. Remember, this is in the center, the ghost ball is in the center. 10, 20, 30 degrees. It would be very nice if you still get it on a long rail, but normally you are in danger of scratching. Or if you can go on purpose, not that low, and make sure to hit the rail over there. But that's still okay. So here you got your range of play from 10, 20, 30 degrees. Right? If you remember, 10 degrees follow, 10 degrees draw. 20 degrees follow, 20 degrees draw. 30 degrees follow, 30 degrees draw. So that's your ranges of operation, right? But we will come back to this a little bit more detailed, probably in the next tutorial. So this, for example, is quite challenging. You just set up the ball exactly in the center of the table, mark it, and the cue ball is exactly on the foot spot or head spot. And then try to pocket it over there and draw the cue ball back in behind the side pocket. This is not easy, so that's for the better players, to give them also a little challenge. I didn't want to go for the 15 diamond challenge, drawing it back, but this is also about quality, extreme quality. I wouldn't call it an extreme draw shot, but of course better players can get it, but mostly not at the first try. It will take a little while, but yeah, it's challenging. We had a little fun when we tried this shot in a team back in the mid-90s, I remember. And yeah, so there's some greetings to my old team members from that time back also, including Ralph Suke, for example, and Bernd Janke, and yeah. Then yeah, this was our tutorial about draw shots. I hope you like it and that you get something out of it. If not, I don't mind. Just you can certainly find a lot of tutorials about draw shots and search for it, and I'm sure sooner or later you will get the most powerful draw shot, or the draw shot you like to achieve. So thank you very much for listening.